Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live. Today I'll be showing you some kind of new techniques that I just learned with Grease Pencil, basically allowing you to kind of like a freeform sculpt any of your creations. It's good for organic character like this creature. So let's get started. So basically the idea is that we can use something called Grease Pencil SCULPT. So if we shift a Grease Pencil blank, and if we draw something like just like a simple stroke, so by default the stroke is very thin and it also have the strength of 0.6. I like to max that stroke and then also increase the radius so it looks kind of a little bit thicker. You might think, okay, that's kind of nice, right? It's, you can draw stroke like this. Normally you draw like stick figure this way, but the idea is really to draw your character this way, kind of like a still like a stick figure. However, you can do more, I mean, with the sculpt. So this is the normal Grease Pencil tools. If you look at the name, you can use line, polyline, arc, curve, etc. But the one I'm gonna show you is this Sculpt Mode. So if you switch to Sculpt Mode, so we have a lot of tools here. The one that I really want to show you is the thickness. Before we do the thickness, we can actually use smooth beforehand and pick like a really large brush. With the smooth, you really can smooth out your stroke and turning it into something that's kind of like a vector with a vector precision. So it's really, really cool sculpt brush. The one that I want to show you, of course, the thickness. With the thickness and large brush, you can actually kind of make everything slightly thicker. So suddenly your drawing is not just like a stick figure, but it's a lot more. You can start adding kind of like a muscle for your character. You know, you can randomize the thickness very, very quickly. So for example, if it's like a muscle, you get the idea. Yeah, so that's the basic idea. So let's delete everything, start again, file, save as. So what do you want to create? A creature GP. Let's make a creature with 4 legs. That's probably the hardest one. Some kind of lizard. We go to the side view. You can use tilde and go to the left or the right view. And from the side view, we can draw our creature. Shift A, Grease Pencil blank, object draw mode, and thickness already set up. Okay, we're ready. Undo that. So we can start drawing maybe just the head, something like that. Maybe the head have mouth, horn, draw the neck. So some type of dragons or anything, but you usually have a tail. And let's draw the leg part. See, this can have like a multiple finger. So this one is actually a little bit sophisticated. Give it a bit hair, maybe spike. Anyway, so this is on the side view. You can go to, this way, and don't forget you can also use edit mode. So you can switch to edit mode this way, or just tab, click on tab, and then you can start moving things. Maybe if you want to have like a top view, it's probably easier. You can scale. Because this is like a free form. Command L. Sometimes you want to be precise, but also you want to be really free while doing this. Like, select this leg part, Command L, drag it to the side. Select this, Command L, drag it to the side. Okay, now it's a little bit better. We actually need to draw the connection. Yeah, let's actually do that. Go back to draw mode. Draw instead of the origin, we can use 3D cursor or by the stroke. I think the stroke will work. Yeah, it's not always perfect. Just maybe just draw it this way. Yeah, I think that's not bad. I think you can also just, you know, like doodle around the area. You know, I'll try this, you know, like draw the, so we have these characters. So let's switch to the full view. I save this and I'll save as a new blend. I keep all different important steps. And the leg. Okay, that's okay. Let's use mirror. By default, mirror is on the x-axis. Looks correct. Just hit apply. And the next thing you want to do is to sculpt mode. So now we are in sculpt mode. I'm gonna play around with the thickness. Yeah, just start sculpting. So this is supposed to be the mouth, it's supposed to be the head. Now this area, this is around the rib cage. This is the back of the character. This should have some kind of muscle. Of course, I forgot to. I should have kept the mirror before I hit apply. It's okay. I think we can always mirror it once again. So this belly, the tail. See, just a little bit. So you can have some kind of precision there. So this is the knee areas, the finger. Currently it's like a bit funny, but yep. I believe you can also do the reverse, holding control. You can reverse the thickness. Suddenly you have something that's kind of like a silhouette of your character. Pretty cool. Mirror once again. Alright, so let's say we are pretty happy with this. So it's a quick one. Now I want to turn this into real object. How do we do that? Right click, convert to Bezier. Right click, convert to Bezier. That seems to do the job. So let's hide our original Grease Pencil. Now we have this just curve. Okay, this is a funny curve. We can actually, with the curve, we don't need too many. We can actually simplify the curve if you want. Clean up, maybe decimate it. You don't have to do this, but maybe you want to. And then with this guy, we need to convert it into a real object. We will need another curve, which is just a circle, for example. And I will use geometry nodes. Okay. I have the default cube, this is going to be the final form. I'm going to go to edit mode, X, delete everything. So we still have the cube geometry that we can use with geometry nodes. Let's pin this node, bring in our circle and bring in our creature curve. Let's use the mesh, curve to mesh. So we have the curve and we have the profile. We simply plug this in. We have something that's a little bit too big. I'm gonna scale, transform scale, make it 0.01. I think it's simply plug that in there. Okay, maybe our curve here is also too big. Okay, I think the value is wrong. Okay, I get it. So this should be 10. And this is to control the thickness of the bevel. Okay, cool. We can always scale this back to the original scale. There we go. I think that's pretty close. So what we have here is really just a curve that's been beveled and become as close as our original Grease Pencil. So that's how you play around with the thickness. Right, it's pretty unusual character. Yeah, but it's just, this is only like the start. If you want to continue with sculpting, you can always do that. This is already a mesh. And we can use solidify or remesh. I think that will work also. Let's just hit apply all. And I will go to edit mode and I will cover this area. This has a lot of details. I tap A and tap F to fill out any hole, and then go back to object mode by hitting tab. So again, you can see Grease Pencil, and then that's been converted into curve and then been beveled, and now it's a complete mesh. And this mesh can be turned into we can remesh it, so we have like a better topology. Okay, apparently this takes quite a while. Okay then, cool. Save. Remesh. You could actually use volume instead of using the curve. You can use volume that's using the radius of the original geometry. I think that will also work. I haven't tried it. So with remesh, you can see it's now becoming something that you can sculpt. You can further sculpt using sculpt modes of Blender. Okay, that's too much detail. Let's go back to 0.1. But I think this is kind of interesting technique. In fact, if we can connect the grease pencil directly into geometry nodes, we don't need to convert it into curve. Okay, so this is basically the basic idea. This guy is using curve. I think you can also use radius. So point to volume, volume to mesh. We don't need the bevel. This is a curve to mesh. We can use the geometry, convert it into volume, convert it into mesh. So this is a volume. This is the mesh being generated. We can increase the density or the voxel amount, increase the radius. You see, it's already 3D. We're missing the radius, but I think the radius is also somewhere here. Radius crease position, that's interesting. Yeah, the curve, I think the curve actually have an attribute that we can use. Point radius. If we can somewhat transfer the point radius, or maybe I'm still thinking. I think the radius should be passed into this automatically. It's probably being passed over here. I just need to multiply the attribute. So multiply radius by a vector or by a float. There you go. We bring in our grease pencil radius into our voxel. Maybe we can reduce this. Actually, voxel 100, density may be less, or we can play around with the threshold. Voxel 250. Yeah, I think we need a lot of voxel, but you get the idea. Now we have our mesh. This is pretty dense, however. It's not too bad. Some areas still not connected, but yeah, it's a work in progress. It's possible. Just to modify this further, we can combine it with our other objects. Now you can see the whole process. So we have two methods. The one that's using this profile curve with the circle, and the other one. All right, so yeah, hopefully you find this interesting and useful. It's just an idea. You can definitely make a tweak so it looks so much nicer. Yeah, I quite like this look. Feels very rough and kind of unfinished, but you can do a lot. It's using all kind of Blender features from Grease Pencil, and then curve, and then geometry nodes, point to volume, etc. Right? So once it's becoming like this, you can always go to Sculpt mode and start sculpting properly. All right, hopefully you find this useful, and let me know what you created. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.